Okay, so here we are going to be talking about alkyl halides. So we're going to talk about how to name these and how to draw their structures. Okay, so the ruling for naming our alkyl halides, following the IUPAC system of naming, it will be the parent. So if we're dealing with alkane, right, it will be the parent followed by ane, depending on whether it's an alkane, alkene, or alkyne. Very important to note that the parent chain has to have the halogen. Okay, so as you're going through and you're counting and trying to figure out, okay, where does this fall, make sure that that halogen is in the parent chain. Now, when we're talking substituents, a halogen is always a substituent. It is never part of the parent name. We are going to identify these as fluoro. So if you have a fluorine on there, it'd be fluoro, chloro, bromo, and iodo. The halo gets the lowest number compared to alkyl substituents. Double and triple bonds get lower numbers compared to halos. So if you're looking at the priority, that would be right here. Okay, so let's do an example. So here I have a very short chain. I've got 2 carbons, and I have a chlorine on here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to count the number of carbons that I have. So I've got 2 carbons, and I've got all single bonds. So that tells me that I am dealing with an ane. I have 2 carbons. So that gives me ethane, and now I do have a chlorine on here. And so if I just say, make sure I give myself enough space, chloroethane, it is obvious that this chlorine is on the terminal atom. And actually there's only 2 carbons, so that's about all I can do. All right, so I have my parent is a alkane. I have 2 carbons, that gives me ethane, and then I have my halogen, so chloroethane. All right, next example, we are going to go through and draw 2-bromo, 2-butene. So I'm looking at the bute, and the bute tells me that I have 4 carbons. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, I can number this either from right to left or left to right. Doesn't really matter. I like going from left to right, so that's what we'll go ahead and do. So carbon 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2-bromo tells me that I've got my bromine on the second carbon. The 2-butene tells me that I have a double bond starting on that second carbon. So here is the placement for everything. The last thing I need to do is to go through and add my hydrogens so that everybody has the correct number of bonds. Okay, so that first carbon, I need to add 3 hydrogens here. Oops. Hello. Let's see if it'll let me write. Okay, so I need to add 3 hydrogens here. I do not need to add anything to the second carbon. It is already bonded to 1 carbon, bonded to bromine, and has a double bond with its neighboring carbon. So that already has 4 bonds. So I'm moving on to carbon number 3. Carbon number 3 needs 1 hydrogen to get it satisfied, and then my carbon on the end here needs 3 hydrogens. So that is the structure for 2-bromo, 2-butene. We also have common naming, and so to name these following the common naming system, it will be the alkyl name first, so my alkyl name, followed by the halogen as a halide. So I'll change that ending to IDE. So here, what I'm looking at is I want to name the alkyl part first. And the alkyl is ethane. Remember, we're dealing with ethane here. So but I'm going to change the ending to YL, so it's ethyl. And then I'm looking at my halogen, and I have chlorine, and I'm going to change the ending here to IDE, so it is ethyl chloride.